Okay, boss. In the last class, we've been seeing about how do we consume HANA models in BW. With respect to BW powered by HANA, in the last class, we've been observing on like learning about how do we consume HANA models in BW layer. Okay. Okay. So this is the different options we have seen. One is transient provider. Then I can also go with virtual cube based on HANA model. Then this is like you remember about yesterday we created ODP source system based on HANA view, ODP data source based on HANA information view, and that was supporting direct access as allowed, and I can connect that to normal cube based on direct access DTP also. And this is like open ODS view, which has been connected with open ODP data source based on HANA view. And then we can also have an option of open ODS view based on what? HANA view, which is not, we're not capturing hold of HANA view directly, we're catching hold of column view from SysBig schema. Then we can also go with what? Composite provider, or directly we can do reporting on the view in BEX reporting. And what is this? We can also go with remote master database. Now, so there's a lot of questions saying which one to be used. If given a chance, which one should I use? So I would prefer something where it's more easier to deploy and I have all the flexibilities. Ante kadana. The option what I would prefer to use would be the one which will give me all the flexibilities what I want and should be easier to implement. Okay, let's see which one is that. So what I've done, I've categorized a lot of aspects on which I would like to differentiate between these. One is whether Infobix are required to create this aspect or not. Then can I associate with the master data, BW master data? And do we have the support of navigational attributes? And can we do reporting? And is it virtual or not? Then what? Can we transport this? Then does it support to connect to attribute view? Okay. Now let's look at this. Now in case of transient provider, do we create Infobix? Or do we create Infobix? Yes or no? No. Can I associate my transient provider with the master database? By using reference characteristic, I can associate with the BW master database. So does it, okay, I can associate with master data, but can I use the attributes of master data as can I leverage navigational attributes with this? No, only as display attributes. With the transient provider, I cannot use the attributes of master data, what I'm referring as navigation attributes, not possible. Can we do reporting on transient provider? Yes. Is it virtual? Yes. Can we transport it? We don't have a direct flexibility of transporting the transient provider, but we take the contents of RS, LI, TP and the subsequent relevant tables and take the entries of this table into a TR and then take care of transportation. And does it support attribute view? Means from transient provider, can I connect to some of the reference to some of the attribute view? No. Now next is virtual cube based on HANA model. You remember that the second option was, let's say I have an underlying, let's say I've got DW and underlying HANA database. I've got an HANA model. And the next option of consuming HANA model was virtual cube based on HANA model. So do I need to create, in this case, do I end up creating Infobix to create your virtual cube? Suppose if I have a view with say 100 fields, I should end up creating 100 Infobix. Then I can do mapping between each Infobit versus a field. So I end up creating Infobix here. Yes. Can I associate with master database? Yes. Does it since it is a provider cube, can I enable switch on the navigation attributes into it? Yes. Reporting? Yes. Virtual? Yes. So can I transport this cube? Yes. Can I connect this cube to an attribute view? No. Next, this is like let's say you created an open ODS view. You remember ODP HANA information view source system. Let's say I've created a ODP data source on top of it, which is enabled for remote access. And I would like to create this HANA view based ODP data source, which supports direct access. I would like to connect that to a remote cube, which is nothing but normal cube based on direct access DTP. Even if I have to create a remote cube, do I need to create Infobix? Yes. Again, master is okay, navigation attributes okay, reporting, virtual, transportable, and then no support of attribute view. Next option is like I've got open ODS view, which is connecting to the ODP data source based on HANA information. You remember about this source system? We are using a new source system called ODP HANA information view, where you connect the application layer, where I can consume the views, where view will be referred as ODP object on which the data source is based on. And once I have the data source, I can create open ODS view based on data source in BW. Once I have the data source created, can I use it to connect to my open ODS view? Yes. So if I have open ODS view built on the BW data source, then what? Do we need Infobix in this case? Yes or no? No. Can I associate with master database? Because if you remember, in open ODS view, for each field, I can associate with the Infobit or another open ODS view also. And does it support navigation attributes? Yes. Yes or no? Yes. Reporting? Yes. Virtual? Yes. Transportable? Yes. And then what? Can I connect that to an attribute view? How? I cannot connect that directly to an attribute view, but what I'll do, we'll create one more open ODS view based on attribute view and then connect that, reference that to master data open ODS view. Now this one, open ODS view based on HANA information view, means we don't consume view directly, but when you deploy your information model in HANA, it actually creates a column view in sysbig schema. So I can, when I create an open ODS view saying database table or view, I can use that column view to take the source. I can take the column view as a source to define my open ODS view. So in this case, do I need Infobix? Can I associate with master database? Yes. Can I support? Does it support navigation attributes? Yes. Reporting? Yes. Virtual? Yes. Transportable? Yes. Then can I connect the attribute view? Yes. Next one, composite provider. Composite provider is similar to your multi-provider where you can combine multiple providers. And composite provider will give you flexibility of combining BW providers and HANA models. So with this way, I can also create a composite provider with single HANA model. So that is like consuming HANA model in BW layer. Even in this case, I don't create any Infobix, associated master data, navigation attributes, reporting, virtual, transportable, all this, but no support for attribute view combinations. Can also do direct reporting on views. No Infobix required. But does it connect to BW master? Can I refer to BW master database? Only directly the fields of the view I can use it. No navigation attributes, reporting yes, virtual yes, and I can transport this view. But transporting of view should be done through normal HANA native transport only, not the BW transports. No support to attribute, but I can refer to support attribute view. What I can do, I can take this analytical view, take the attribute view, join with the calculation view, then do reporting on calculation. I can take care of that way. Yeah. Then remote master database, no Infobix required here. Yes. Associate with BW master data, no, and then navigation attribute supports. Okay, reporting, virtual, all this is fine. Now tell me, given this scenario, given all these cases, now these are the maximum options what you can, in what way you can consume your HANA models in BW. Now which one would you go for? Say now scenario is like I've got BW with backend HANA database. In the backend HANA database, I've got my HANA model. And I would like to use this HANA model in BW. So which option would you go with? So you say sixth row, yeah. Sixth. I would say he's saying sixth, yeah. If you go with six, see, 6 and 7 give you both same results. But in case of 6, you end up creating ODP source system connection. You create your data source to be maintained on the view, then use a data source for creating OpenODS. So it's more like a workaround. It's more like you coming around the bush and then hitting these requirement. But in fact, why don't we go with this 7? Because if I go with 7th option, I don't need ODP source system connection. Straight away, I take the column view name and create OpenODS view, give the column view name, and then define the semantics, and I'm done. 9 also. Which one? 9. If I use 9, I have a problem not being able to refer to master data in BW or attribute views. Yes or no?
Attributes you can achieve by creating column.
By creating column, yeah, I can do that. But again, I need to end up creating one more view second, right? So what I'll do, I'll say now I'll go with the option number 7, where it's going about creating OpenODS view based on the column view from Sysbig schema representing that HANA model. If it is BW on HANA scenarios, I've got BW with HANA as a backend database where I've got my HANA model, and I would like to consume that in the BW. This is the option I would go with, the 7th row option. But if the scenario is like this, say I've got BW on HANA, I've got ECC on HANA, I've got BW on HANA, and I also have ECC running on HANA. In the ECC HANA, I've got my HANA model, which I would like to consume it in BW. Got my point? I've got BW with HANA backend database, and I've got ECC also running on HANA, 2 different HANA databases. And now I've got my HANA model created in the backend of ECC. And I would like to consume the HANA model of ECC HANA in BW. In this case, then in that case, I'll go with 6th option, where I'll connect my ECC to BW with the help of ODP HANA information view source system connection, create a ODP data source based on the HANA model in ECC HANA, and connect this BW data source of ODP HANA view to OpenODS. That should be your options. Okay, was fine. And if I'm trying to combine this view with some other BW provider, then my option would be composite provider. Got this point? Yes.
In case we need to use Infobits, right?
Which one attribute won't support? It supports, right? What is it? Our plan? Let's say I have an OpenODS view created on an analytical view. You want to connect that to attribute view also. Then what I can do? I can create an OpenODS view based on what? Attribute view with the facts, with the semantics as what? Master data, and associate that OpenODS view with this fact to OpenODS. And in fact, I can create a star schema almost. Okay. Got this, boss? Okay, done. Okay. So next option we would see now about next, it's reverse now. How do we import BW objects in HANA? Let's say I have the scenario with BW running on top of HANA. Say I've got BW info providers like Cube or DSOs, all those stuff. How can we import them into HANA? How can we use them in HANA? Like either ways, okay. So I can mix up both the modeling now. So there is a flexibility of import. Let's say you got an info cube in BW. I can import that info cube as analytical view. I've got a DSO. I can import that as analytical view also, and then leverage them into calculation views also. So how do we do that? Okay. The slight difference. First, I'm showing you how it was when we had with 7.3 release. In 7.4, 7.4 still supports the same, but still we have some new flexibility. If it is BW, if you're in release 7.3, then you have to go with this. Still 7.4 still supports the same, but still you have other flexibilities also. First, I'm touching on the 7.3 for this. Okay. First, we will deal with what? Cube. Let's say. So I have this cubes, which I would like to import that into my HANA systems. Yeah? And in the HANA database, 7 cubics. I've created separate package here, which where I would like to import them. Yeah. So this is my cube. Mobile number, customer number. Yeah, data undalana something. I have some data available. Okay. So I would like to import this cube into my HANA system. This is a simple one. If you look at the design of this cube, I just have two dimensions and two keywords, counter and price. Mobile number as a characteristic, customer as a characteristic, sales order as a characteristic, and customer has got some attributes. Customer code, country code, customer type, something. Okay, this is my design of the cube. Yeah. Let me import this. Okay. What is the database of this BW system? Not HANA. This is the backend. This is BW of that HANA system. HDB, SAP Cubex, ABAP one. This is the HANA database BW system. Okay. So how do we import? File and let's say what? Import. Expand the folder what? HANA content. You want to import what? I would like to import SAP NetWeaver BW models. So next. It will ask you the server details, all the connection details. If you already specified one, I can choose that connection. ఒకసారి ఆల్రెడీ ఇచ్చింటే ఆ కనెక్షన్ డీటెయిల్స్ అన్నీ వస్తాయి లేకపోతే యూ షుడ్ స్టార్ట్ స్పెసిఫిక్ సర్వర్ నేమ్ హోస్ట్ నేమ్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ నంబర్ క్లయింట్ నంబర్ అండ్ యూజర్ ఐడి పాస్వర్డ్ search for yours. What is it saying? Since HANA is a database, want the tables relevant to BW. Yeah, tables are available. It says this is a backend data. Tables will be there. All the tables relevant to your cube or DS will be in which schema? Your BW scheme. SAP FF one type. But if you want to create view again you should start joining those tables and you have to rebuild the view again. You take the fact table, you take the dimension table, you take the SAP tables, join. You have to do all those stuff. Why do you want to do all those manual when system can do it for you? Getting what I'm saying? I know, I understand the tables of this info products are in the underlying BW schema. I can consume those tables and create my HANA models. But I end up redoing it all things again. Instead of doing it, I can just import, which will create my view automatically with the tables.
So this SAP ABAP one will always be
Naming can be different. That is only schema name. That's the owner name. In real time, the naming could be different.
So do we have to manually import anything and manually import all it will
Automatically, the tables will be there. Because see, even when you have your bid with MS SQL, it will have a data scheme, but you never went inside. But since HANA is going to give me modeling capabilities, I am logging into database. Otherwise, I would never get into.
So how will we specify SAP ABAP one schema?
We don't specify. That is going to be the primary database connection for BW. And that is going to be one. And anything you do in BW, that it will start creating those data dictionary in BW schema.
And that can be any name or
Any name. It's not only SAP ABAP. It could be any name what they give. ఆ కనెక్షన్ డీటెయిల్స్ లో ఓనర్ ఏముందో అదే BW schema name. Okay. Select this cube and say add. Sir, can you please repeat this step? File, import SAP HANA contents, a BW NetWeaver BW models, and next. I'm choosing this connection details, or I can start giving it. I can give my own. This is my server, right? First is same. Instance is what? Was 10. Client is 001 of my BW cubex. I would like to import this into this connection. Already all BW models could be in HANA. See, BW models are not there in HANA database. When you, let's say you have a BW system running on HANA database. You have logged into BW and you have created DSO or you create a cube and you activated it. So when you activate a cube or DSO, does it create some data dictionary tables? Like if it is DSO, it creates your active table, new table, and then if it is cube, it creates a table, dimension tables. You can look at those tables necessarily. It does mean those tables are in the backend database. What is my backend database? HANA. In backend database in HANA, if my tables are existing, they should be existing in some schema. In which schema? My schema relevant to BW. So what is my schema relevant to BW? That is the owner name in the status. So in SAP ABAP one schema, you'll have all those tables. Yes, I can still refer to the tables what is there in the schema, BW schema, and create my HANA models also. By joining, I can create calculation, all the stuff. But when I have flexible, when I do import a cube like this, it creates a view automatically with those underlying tables. When system is able to create a view for you, why do you want to do manually? So if you want, you do, then no one is stopping you. But when system is able to do it for you, why do you want to do it manually again? That's what my point. Yeah? Okay. That confusion and the point ఏముందప్పా నేను కూడా మామూలుగా డౌట్లు అడుగుతుంటే ఇప్పుడు ఫ్యాకల్టీని స్లో చేయాలంటే just select the cube and say add. Okay. Here I can specify you want it is going to create a view. I want this view to create in which one? 7 cubex BW imports package. So what are the view it is going to create? Of this view it is going to create in this package. And the checkbox, if it is already imported, I would like to override those changes. I want that. I'm not enabling this checkbox yet. Let's finish it first. Let's say simple one. It is going on. Imported successfully. If I expand this package, when you manually import a cube, it creates two things: one analytical view, one calculation. Your analytical view name would be your cube name underscore internal, and your calculation view name would be your cube name as it is. You would active undala, but okay, that's fine. Okay. Now let's see the analytical view definition. What is it? Cube and M tables are tell me. You know the scheme of the cube, fact table, dimension, data pack, only data packet dimension, then rest all is what? SIDs. Sure. If you look at the data foundation, it is what is this? Slash basis slash FIMPC. What is this? Fact table. D cube name P. What is this? Data packet dimension. SID of mobile number, SID of customer, SID of order. How many characteristics you had in the cube? 3. So it is brought in because in fact with the new schema, in the new schema, your fact table will have SIDs or dimension tables. SIDs connecting to what? SID tables. So how many characteristics you have? 3. Mobile number, customer number, order number. So 3 SIDs in the fact table connected to 3 SID tables. And one data packet dimension connected to data packet dimension table. Let's look at the schema. I've got fact table at the center where SID of the sales order is connecting to SID table of sales order. SID of mobile number is connected to SID table of mobile number characteristic. Dimension data packet key is connected to data packet dimension. And what are the other? SID of customer is connected to SID of customer table. And then I've got key figures, counter and price. And then I get this and I get this out. And from the SID tables, it is joining with the SIDs, but it is referring to what? Customer here, characteristic value, order number and what? Mobile numbers. And the fact table SIDs, from the SIDs it is joining the SID table and getting the actual characteristic values.
So only HANA optimized cube can be imported, or?
No, any cube. Normally, if it is HANA BW HANA, all the cubes will be migrated as HANA optimized. And what are the cube you create by default? It is HANA optimized cube. In this situation, but I see there's something missing out here. I'm only getting connected to SI table of customer, but you remember customer had some attributes, customer type, lots of those attributes. You can get those attributes when you connect to which tables? Attribute table. But do I have the attribute table coming in? Not. We have not got that. It's okay. And if you see, there is one more calculation we also create. If you see calculation, it's just a projection of your analytical view. It is actually projecting what? What is this? Cube name underscore internal is what is this? Analytical. Other analytical view project just aggregate JC request is spread down. Done? ఇప్పుడు నేను కొద్దిగా డిఫరెంట్గా చేస్తాను. నాకేంటంటే while importing the HANA model on the cube, I also want to refer to the mass data also, attributes also. BW NetWeaver CubeX. Welcome 1, 2, 3. అదే క్యూబ్ నే సేమ్ ప్యాకేజ్ లోనే overwrite. I'm selecting this check, include display attributes. So now it starts importing this cube apart from the definition of the cube schema, fact table and SIDs or dimensions. It will also start bringing the corresponding mass data also into my view definition. The table, P table, Q table, X table, all those also gets in if there is anything.
Navigation attributes.
And those X table అన్నీ వస్తాయన్న ఎట్లా వస్తే అది కరెక్టో అన్ని తెచ్చుకుంటుంది. నువ్వేం టెన్షన్ పడాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, ఏం డౌట్ పెట్టుకోవద్దు. This is my F table, okay, and I've got customer SID. From the SID table of SID customer column in a fact table, it is connecting to what? SI slash base like S and N was SI table of customer. From the SI table of customer, it is joining to what? What is slash base slash P in attribute table of customer. And from further to this attributes, if it has got any text descriptions for customer type, I've got description, customer code, customer type, that text table is going to connect. So it is bringing even the mass data attributes now. And the X table, if you have navigation attributes, even X this SID will get connected to X table also again. X, Y అన్నీ వచ్చేస్తాయి ఆటోమేటిక్. మాస్ డేటా టేబుల్స్ రావాలంటే యూ షుడ్ సెలెక్ట్ ది చెక్ బాక్స్ ఇంక్లూడ్ అట్రిబ్యూట్స్ అని పెట్టి సార్. ఓకేనండి, చెప్తాం మళ్ళీ అది నెక్స్ట్ ఇవన్నీ చూసినాక చెప్తాం. దిస్ వన్ వే ఆఫ్ ఇంపోర్టింగ్ యువర్ క్యూబ్. ఇంకా డేటా ఇస్తా ఉంటుంది, యూ డోంట్ హ్యావ్ టు డూ ఎనీథింగ్ ఎల్స్. స్ట్రైట్ అవే సీ వాట్ ఆర్ ద డేటా యూ కుడ్ గెట్ ఇన్ ద క్యూబ్. ఎన్ని రికార్డ్స్ ఉంటుందన్నా ఒక 3 రికార్డులు ఉంది, ఆ సేమ్ 3 రికార్డ్స్ యూ స్టార్ట్ గెట్టింగ్ ఇన్. ఓకేనా బాస్? ఫైన్. But remember, it is create when I importing it manually, it is creating one analytical view with the naming as cube name underscore internal and a calculation view on top of that analytical view. No, Navis now you want to see that with Navis, I can import this cube and show you how at a X table or if you want to see that, I can show you. This contains navigational attributes, and I would say override. I also want to bring in display attribute data also. One analytical view and what? One calculation. చూడండి, if you remember, నాకు navigational attributes కొద్దిగా కాంప్లెక్స్గా ఉంటుంది. F table of my cube. I've got SID of the contract connecting to what? X table. From X table, you will have all the SIDs of relevant navigational attributes. From there, it gets connected to contract. From the contract, it connects to all the other attributes, text tables. Okay, now X P and N. Same way, I want to show you about importing a DSO. ఏం నావిగేషన్ ఉండేకి లేని దానికి ఏమంటే attribute tables కూడా extra వస్తాయి. X table, P table. So can we import yes. I was importing standard cube only. But when you have standard cube with HANA based, it is what? HANA optimized standard cube. Whatever I imported was a standard cube only, right? Only thing is it is HANA optimized. Now importing a DSO. If you want, I can bring master data also like this. It creates only analytical view. No more calculation. If it is ODS, only analytical view. If it is cube, analytical view, and on top of analytical view, you will also have calculation. No master data now. Then came master data now on ledu. I think kani order came attribute data ledu. For sales order, there is no P table, no attributes maintained. Simple. Very question other import attributes into those. The one with navigational attributes, I have it right. THS, DHS. Now you'll have active table with what? Contract is joined to P table, from the P table to join to other attributes. Okay, boss? Yeah. So when you import DSO, it only gets the analytical view. Now, can I also import master data also? But when import master data, but hierarchies will not come. Okay, that's fine. That is should. If I import master data, then it creates what? Logical. No. No multi-pivot roles. Now it creates what? If you import master, it creates what? Attribute. But can I do reporting on attribute view? We can't do reporting on attribute view. But if you have info which is inserted as info prod or something, it creates something like attribute view underscore reporting, and it creates one article view. Then I can do report. No reporting on attribute. That's okay. Like this, you can import your info cube or DSO or info. Is that fine? ఇక్కడ కొద్దిగా రియల్ టైమ్ అంటే సినారియో లైక్ when we were working on BW 7.3 with HANA, what we used to do is once we have DSO, we used to import that as analytical view, and we used to import BW master data. Normal ETL was with BW, so we were loading in the BW through loading it to cube or master data or DSOs. We are importing DSO as the analytical view, master data as attribute view. Then create a new calculation view with this analytical view and the attribute view and join them, and then we used to do reporting on this. Adi na scenarios. Got this point? You got this point. So the problem here was when forget about transport. Generally, if this is the case, did you import those views manually? Yes. So let's say now I have development environment with BW HANA. Let's say I've got quality environment with BW HANA. When I transport, let's say I've got DSO master data. When I transport the master data and DSO from development BW to quality BW, are the views transported? No, that was another activity what you've done to create this view. So in this kind of case where you're importing it manually, when you transport the cube or the master data to the development quality environment, it does not transport the views. So through BW transports, we should transport the DSO and the transformation of master data, all those. Through HANA native transports, I was transporting the attribute view, analytical view, and calculation view. Okay, so manually I had to transport those objects. That is one point. Okay, that was one issue we had. One more problem was, let's say I created DSO with certain info objects, set 10 info objects, and I imported that as a view. Later I changed the DSO with one more info object to be added, or I remove something or something. It does not reflect the changes to the underlying view automatically. So I need to explicitly re-import again and override that to reflect those changes. So there was a person who was working on changing those objects. He forgot to estimate. He forgot about impact analysis on estimating things. అంటే ఉన్న క్యూబ్ మార్చేది కదండి, బ్రైట్లీ కూడా చేంజ్ కొట్టేది అనుకున్నాడు. పరిస్థితి ఏముంది, ఆ క్యూబ్ను పోయి వ్యూ లాగా వేసిన్నాడు, ఆ వ్యూని ఏడాడో వాడినాడు అన్నట్టు. సో అప్పుడు వాడు గంట సేపు ఇచ్చితే ఆ గంటకి సరిపోదు. ఎందుకు, వాడు క్యూబ్ మారిస్తుంటాడు, మారిసినాక ఏం చేయాలి, మళ్ళీ రీఇంపోర్ట్ కొట్టాలి. కొడితే ఈ వ్యూ మారితే మళ్ళీ ఏ వ్యూలు ఇది వాడిందో మళ్ళీ అన్ని రీయాక్టివేట్ చేసుకోవాలి. అది ప్రాబ్లం. ఓకేనా, వాట్స్ ఫైన్. నెక్స్ట్, that is the two limitations we had when it was 7.3. Yeah.
But the views will refer to the fact table or the attribute.
అవును, excellent question. ఏమంటానంటే, గుడ్. Let's say in the BW system you have changed the cube. So you have changed which table? Ultimately the underlying fact table and dimension tables, SI tables have been changed. So when you have imported a view was based on what? The same tables. So when the tables have been changed, it should reflect the changes in the view automatically. Yes, in the view you will see the table with new column, but that column is not projected out. You getting what I'm saying? I can do that for you.
Output.
Yeah, output later. క్యూబ్ మారుస్తాను, కొద్దిగా డేటా ఉన్న మార్చేయచ్చు. ఇది మారుస్తాను, చూద్దాం. నువ్వు చెప్పు, కొడుతుందా? ఏం మాకు కొడుతుందా? క్యూబ్ చేసినావు, వేరే వాడు ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసి ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసిన దానికి క్యూబ్కి దానికి సంబంధం లేదు, ఎందుకు కొడుతుంది దానికి ఏం సంబంధం? సరే, it ఉంది. ఐఎమ్ జస్ట్ చేంజింగ్ దిస్ కీ. వాట్ ఇస్ దిస్ కీ? IMPICDS. ఏదో ఒకటి ఒక కీ ఫిగర్ యాడ్ చేస్తున్నాను. కీ ఫిగర్ యాడ్ చేస్తే విల్ ఇట్ ఎఫెక్ట్ ఎఫ్ టేబుల్? ఎఫ్ టేబుల్ మారంటే కదన్నా. ఇప్పుడు వ్యూలో ఏమైంటుంది, ఎఫ్ టేబుల్ యొక్క కొత్త కాలం కనిపిస్తూ ఉంటుంది కానీ వాడదు. ఈ సీ దిస్ ఎడిటబుల్, బట్ దట్ ఈస్ నాట్. ఈ రెండు ప్రాజెక్ట్ అనేది ఈ కీవర్డ్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ కాలేదు. నేను కూడా చేసి మళ్ళీ రైట్ క్లిక్ కొట్టి యాడ్ అవుట్పుట్ అని పెట్టి చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఇట్స్ బెటర్ ఇఫ్ రీఇంపోర్ట్ దోస్ చేంజెస్ ఆర్ రిఫ్లెక్టెడ్ అగైన్. అంతే. నీ డౌట్ క్లారిటీ అండి. నెక్స్ట్ ద కాన్సెప్ట్ కాల్డ్ క్వెరీ స్నాప్షాట్. ఇది మంచి పాయింట్. దర్ వాజ్ ఒక ఇంటర్వ్యూ ఉంది 2 months బ్యాక్. their point was they were on 7.0, they upgraded to 7.31 and migrated to HANA, and they could not achieve anything on the query performance. One problem ఏంటంటే వాడు ఏమనంటే, నీకు జాబ్ ఇస్తా, నా సమస్య చెప్తాను, నువ్వు చెప్పి ఏం చేయాలో చెప్పు, తర్వాత ఇస్తా జాబ్. మన సమస్య ఏంది? they've invested lot of amount in migrating from 7.0 to 7.31 on HANA. There are a lot of stories told to him. Performance ittuntundi atluntundi bari cheppinaru. He spent money and is migrated that BW system to HANA with 7.31. But I see query performance, loading performance is improved to larger extent, but query performance is not. How? What? Another intro question. నువ్వు ఎట్లా చేసావు చెప్పు, నువ్వే చేసుకో, జాబ్ తీసుకున్నా, అది క్వశ్చన్. ఎత్తుకోగానే మనం చెప్పడం ఏంది, as per 7.3 SP1, okay, when you have it on HANA, the analytical engine is not pushed onto HANA database. So the performance of the query is not taken care. Where when you have your BW 7.3 on HANA, your analytical engine is not executed on HANA database. So the performance of OLAP engine or nothing but BEX querying is not taken care in 7.3. If it is 7.4, your OLAP engine is playing on HANA database, so query performance is taken care of. మరి 7.4 పో అని చెప్తే ఇప్పటికే లెక్క అయిపోయింది, నువ్వు చెప్పు, దీంతో చెప్పు అన్నాడు. సో ద ఆప్షన్ వాస్ క్వెరీ స్నాప్షాట్ ఫర్ దిస్ వాజ్ అ సొల్యూషన్ విచ్ ఫిట్స్ ఫర్. అంటే he has to build those queries, import those cubes as views and do reporting on. When I build a BEX query and import the BEX query as a view and build HANA indexes, then the view is on what? When you do reporting on this view, the pressure is on what? On HANA database, and effectively improving the query performance. In the point, query snapshot was the point. నీకు అన్ని తెలుసన్నా, సిచ్యుయేషన్ బట్టి ఏది వాడాలా అనే తోడు కావాలి సొల్యూషన్. ఓకేనా బాస్? ఫైన్. So I'm going to show you about query snapshot. Means someone asked me, can I do InfoSet? Can I do multi-provider? We cannot import multi-provider, we cannot import InfoSets. వాడు అలా అంటాడు, మరి నువ్వు యూ కెన్ ఇంపోర్ట్ క్యూబ్ బట్ ఐ కాంట్ ఇంపోర్ట్ మల్టీప్రోడర్. బట్ ఈ సేస్ ఐ హ్యావ్ ఎ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ హ్యావింగ్ 5 cubes combined with multi-provider, and then that result I want it as a view అంటాడు. So can I still solve that with query snapshot? What I'll do, I'll combine 5 cubes with the multi-provider, and multi-provider create a BEX query, take that BEX query as view. Create a BEX query on InfoSet, take that BEX query as a view. Can I solve those? I can solve it. One ఉద్దేశంలో BEX query అంటే డోంట్ ట్రీట్ క్వెరీ యాజ్ ఇఫ్ ఇట్స్ బీన్ యూజ్డ్ ఫర్ ఇండివిజువల్. అలా కాదు. క్వెరీ వ్యూ ఇట్స్ వ్యూ అండ్ యూర్ ట్రైంగ్ టు క్వెరీ ద రిజల్ట్స్ అండ్ గెట్ అ వ్యూ ఆఫ్ వాట్ యూ వాంట్. డేటా మల్టిపుల్ క్యూబ్స్ లో ఉంది, లేదా ఇన్ఫోసెట్ లో ఉంది. యూ వాంట్ గెట్ అ వ్యూ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ ది డేటా కంబైన్డ్ టుగెదర్ as one set and take that view and take the view of your BEX query and create a analytical view. అది one intention. ఓకేనన్నా? So how do we do this is point. So we also call it as query snapshot, or how do we import BEX query as a view? Okay. ఇక్కడ మన క్యూబ్ ఉంది కదన్నా, I remember other day we loaded some around 5 records. Okay, ఇది గుర్తు పెట్టుకోవచ్చు వాళ్ళు. ఇది ఎక్కువ ఉంది తక్కువ ఉంది జస్ట్ టోటల్ ఎంత అన్నా 545 was the value. Okay, ఈ క్యూ మీద నాకు రిపోర్ట్ go. I'm trying to create a big query on it and which I'll import that as a view. ఏం చెప్పేసాను I'll create a big query on this and I'll make it simple. Contract number, contract type, and then contract volume and ఓకేనా చాలు ఈ రెండే. ZQ7 IMP query. Okay, was fine. Once you have the query, and I would like to import this query as my view. Okay, how do we do this? We go to this T code RSDDB. Go to the T code what? RSDDB. కొద్దిగా డిఫరెంట్ ఉంటున్నాడు. బిగ్ సి you're importing cube as analytical event. Cube లో డేటా ఫిజికల్ గా ఉంది, but your query, will it have data stored in it? No, right? So what we do is two things we have to do. One is we have to indicate the big query as info provider. Okay, and we also have to create a HANA index which will run the query and store the result of the query as an index, and that will improve my query performances. Just click on this button. What is the button? Query as info provider. What is your query? I remember ZQ7 IMP query. Give the query name and say what? Release query as info provider. What did it say? Query was released as what? Info provider. Now once it has been once you released it as info provider, then say create. For what is it I'm doing? For this provider, I need to create my HANA indexes first. I need to create what? HANA indexes. Like almost like creating your BWA index. Say create index and say what? Activate and fill index immediate and say save. When that has been refresh. This one ZQ7. I can see that index if required. రిఫ్రెష్ కొడితే ఇక్కడ ఇండెక్స్ ఇన్ఫోకి వెళ్తే ఒక టేబుల్ కనిపిస్తుంది. అంటే యాక్చువల్లీ వెన్ యు సే మెయింటైన్ ఇండెక్స్ విల్ రన్ ద క్వెరీ, స్టోర్ ద రిజల్ట్స్ ఆఫ్ ద క్వెరీ యాజ్ అన్ ఇండెక్స్. యాక్చువల్లీ రిజల్ట్ ఫిజికల్గా డేటా ఉంటుంది అండ్ ఇట్ స్టోర్స్ ఇన్ అ టేబుల్ లైక్ దిస్ /BAC/FQ $Q ZQ7. ఇది యాక్చువల్లీ సీ దట్ ఇండెక్స్ ఆ డేటా చూడొచ్చు మనం ఇట్లా. అంటే కానీ లోపల ఏముంది SIDs ఉన్నాయి, బట్ అల్టిమేట్గా ఈ టోటల్ చూడన్నా అగ్రిగేట్ లేదా ఒకటి అవన్నీ వేసుకుంటే అదే మన 545 వస్తుంది. ఓకేనా బాస్? ఫైన్. ఇవన్నీ SIDs అన్నట్టు. ఓకే, ఇట్లా ఇండెక్స్ ఇస్ బీన్ మెయింటైన్ బాస్. ఓకే, now once the query has been imported as is specified as info provider and maintain your indexes, you can start importing that as a HANA model file. Import BW models, give the connection. Search for a query. Okay, then add and the other same package overwrite to including మాట్లాడుకుంటే మాట్లాడు. ఇప్పుడు నాకేం అవసరం, అదే ప్యాకేజ్. ఓకే, ఫినిష్. sorry, query and sub package వచ్చి ఆ సబ్ ప్యాకేజ్ లో ఒక అనలిటికల్ వ్యూ వస్తుంది. ZQ7 IMP query అని. ఓకే అండి. అండ్ లెట్స్ ట్రై మామూలు మీరు చూసుకోండి డెఫినేషన్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఎఫ్ టేబుల్ అండ్ కానీ ఎఫ్ టేబుల్ ఏందో చూడు ఒకసారి చూడు. ఇండెక్స్ టేబుల్ దట్స్ ఇండెక్స్ టేబుల్ ఎస్ఐడిస్ నుంచి నార్మల్ ఫీల్డ్ వాల్యూస్ ఎస్ఐడి టేబుల్ కనెక్ట్ అయ్యి డేటా చూపిస్తుంది. ఇంత నా కాంట్రాక్ట్ నంబర్, కాంట్రాక్ట్ టైప్, నా వాల్యూమ్. ఇది మన అనాలిసిస్ పీక్ వచ్చి కావాల్సి ఉంటే కాంట్రాక్ట్ ఇది యాడ్ లేదు అంతలే ఇవన్నీ యాడ్ చేసుకుంటే అంతే కదన్నా 5 545 కరెక్ట్ అంతే 545 ఓకేనా. లుక్ అట్ మై ప్రాబ్లం ఇదంతా ఓకేనా. దెన్ లుక్ అట్ ద ప్రాబ్లం. I remember I've set this DTP as full load. ఎందుకంటే మళ్ళీ లోడ్ చేయాలి. I set this full. మళ్ళీ డేటా కొడితే ఏమిద్దాం. Not delta, so I can reload the data again. ఓకేనా. If I go to RSRT and run my Bex query, ఈ BW Bex query రన్ చేస్తాను. 545, 545, 1090. Look at this. Does it say now 1090? And then I loaded the same data again, so actually it double అయిపోయింది. But if you look at my view, it still gives 545 only. Why? We have not refreshed the indexes. So when you work with query snapshot, you should do a background processing. After every time you load the new set of data into the queue, you must keep refreshing the indexes. Roll up laga. So do normally do that in the background. We have to do that with process chain. Then manually I can say RSDDB. If I want to do it manually, I can say RSDDB. And then I can say what change, edit and wait. Malli I can save and say refresh the index and but I can do that with process chains now. Yes. ZPC query snapshot refresh HANA index for where is roll up of index? Administration only. Index general. Roll up consider. Right. Initial activation, filling up of what? BWA or HANA index, same. We'll say what is it? Now object from BWA index, yes. And which object is it? Is it query as info provider? Yes. Click on query as info provider, not for the cubes. Query as info. Which query is info provider? ZQ7. Save. what I'll do, I'll maintain this variant as the real time. You'll schedule it normally, and I will execute this. It's been filled. Now if you go to my HANA index and your total Japan. Like this, when you use a query snapshot, you have to schedule the refreshing of HANA indexes in the process changes. You understand query snapshot here? ఇప్పుడు నాకు డౌట్లు వేరియబుల్ ఉంటే వర్క్ అవుతుందా? So you create a Bex query and using in Bex query you have a lot of concepts like RKF, aggregations, variables, all those stuff. కొన్ని వర్క్ కాదు. Look at the restrictions. Some restrictions. It cannot work out if it is an input ready query. You understand what is input ready query? If it is integrated planning query, input ready mandatory variables used in the query also cannot work in. Query contains temporal hierarchy joins. Even hierarchy, if there are hierarchies that cannot be worked out. Query containing more than one structure అంటే ఏంది? Static query with rows and columns, two structures ఉంటే ఒప్పుకోదు. Calculation of the query cannot be before aggregation ఉంటే కాదు. It has to be after aggregation ఉంటేనే ఒప్పుకోదు. For CKF in the properties you can say after aggregation or before aggregation. Local aggregations are used like local aggregation is like system ignores this during it. అంటే if you have like small you remember except aggregation the query properties, use that into formula, then say count of sum of అది కూడా వర్క్ కాదు. And the technical of the query should not be more than 20 characters. ఇవన్నీ సపోర్ట్ చేయాలి. వేరియబుల్ కూడా మ్యాండేటరీ ఉండకూడదు. ఓకే, ఉండకూడదు. అందుకే నాకు తెలుసు. కానీ యాజ్ సూన్ యాజ్ ఏ బెక్స్ క్వెరీ యూ స్టార్ట్ థింకింగ్ అబౌట్ వేరియబుల్స్. వేరియబుల్స్ అన్ని ఎవరికి ఇస్తున్నావు? యూజర్కి ఇస్తుంటాయి. When you look at query snapshot, you're not giving it any user. You're trying to formulate a provider with the view what you want. అంటే వేరే వేరే ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఉన్నదాన్ని నేను మల్టిపుల్ తెచ్చుకోలేను కాబట్టి ఐఎమ్ ట్రైంగ్ టు క్రియేట్ మై ఓన్ వ్యూ. అంటే ఎండ్ యూజర్కి రిపోర్టింగ్ ఎలా అవసరం అలాంటి వ్యూ క్రియేట్ చేసుకుని ఐఎమ్ యూజింగ్ ఇట్ టు క్రియేట్ మై ఇండెక్సింగ్. సో దాంట్లో నువ్వు వేరియబుల్స్ పెట్టవు. ఈ వ్యూ మీద మళ్ళీ రిపోర్టింగ్ చేసేటప్పుడు నేను ప్రాంప్ట్స్ కానీ వేరియబుల్స్ కానీ పెట్టుకుంటాను. దట్స్ హౌ ఇట్ వర్క్స్. Query view until you are not giving a query to the user, you are basically formulating the view how you want. అంటే నువ్వు రిజల్ట్ ని ఎలా చూడాలనుకున్నావు అలాంటి వ్యూ ఒకటి క్రియేట్ చేసుకుని దాని మీద నువ్వు ఇండెక్సింగ్ చేసి నువ్వు ప్రొవైడర్ లాగా సెట్ చేసుకున్నావు. అది కాన్సెప్ట్. అట్లా ఉండాలి నీ మైండ్ సెట్. ఓకే, ఈవెన్ ఇట్ 7.4 there is no difference. Query snapshot still works like this. ఏం పని అట్లా ఆ రేంజ్ లో అనుకో. ఓకే, హై ఓంకార్. Infosec అయిపోయింది. Sir, can you give an example of calculation before aggregation, after aggregation? అయిపోయింది కదా. Before, say price into quantity, like which is not, price is not an aggregation one, so I would prefer it to go with what? Before aggregations. But if something like say calculating average selling price, I would go with what? After aggregation. If it is 7.4, then what? If it is BW 7.4, query snapshot, there is no difference. You still have the same concept in 7.4. You have to set that as info provider, create a HANA indexes and import the snapshot. But how you import the cube and DSOs or master data is slightly different. Okay, Nana? So, and in 7.4, see in 7.3, when we were importing it manually, we had two problems. One is what? When I transport my cube, view is not transported. I was supposed to manually transport my view through what? HANA transports. Cube ni view ga import చేసుకున్నప్పుడు 7.3 లో క్యూబ్ నార్మల్ గా ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ చేయాలా, వ్యూ నేను పర్సనల్ గా నేను మళ్ళీ సపరేట్ గా వ్యూ కూడా ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ చేయాలి. అదొక ప్రాబ్లం. ఇంకో ప్రాబ్లం ఏంది? క్యూబ్ ఏదైనా చేంజ్ చేస్తే ఆటోమేటిక్ వ్యూ చేంజ్ కావడం, నేను మాన్యువల్ గా మళ్ళీ రీఇంపోర్ట్ చేసుకోవాల్సి వస్తుంది. ఆ రెండు ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఉంది. సో టు ఓవర్కమ్ విత్ దీస్ టూ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఇన్ 7.4 SAP came up with a new option. ఇప్పుడు చూడు ఏంటంటే ఆప్షన్ ఇదే అనుకుందామండి. Let me take this same cube. Let's say I'm creating a cube. Zi. ఓకే, అని కాపీ అయింది. ఇక్కడ క్యూబ్ సెట్టింగ్స్ లో there is చెక్ బాక్స్. వాట్ ఇస్ ఎక్స్టర్నల్ HANA వ్యూ అంటే నో అని ఉంది. I can select the check box. External HANA view for reporting. So when I activate this cube, in the same way how it creates your F table, dimension tables, all this stuff, it also creates my view in HANA automatically. Upon activation of my cube activate అయినప్పుడు ఆటోమేటిక్గా అండర్లైన్ టేబుల్స్ కాకుండా HANA వ్యూ కూడా క్రియేట్ అయింది, విచ్ ఇస్ అనలిటికల్ వ్యూ ఫర్. ఈ కేసులో అనలిటికల్ వ్యూ, క్యాలిక్యులేషన్ వ్యూ రాదు, ఓన్లీ అనలిటికల్ వ్యూ వస్తుంది. ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు అది రెండు వస్తుంది. వాట్ ఈస్ అనలిటికల్ వ్యూ? ZI cube 77 కదా. ఇప్పుడు నా డౌట్ ఉందండి, ఇంతకీ వ్యూ క్రియేట్ అయింది సరే, ఏ ప్యాకేజ్లో క్రియేట్ అయింది? 7 క్యూబెక్స్ అని నేను చెప్పినా. SAP అబ్బాయి 1 అనేది స్కీమా, కానీ నాకు ప్యాకేజ్ కావాలి. ఏ ప్యాకేజ్ పోయింది కదా? ఐ హ్యావ్ డౌట్, కానీ నాకు తెలుసు ఎక్కడికి పోతుంది. SAP అని ఒక ప్యాకేజ్ ఉంటుంది. HANA కాదు, HBA కాదు, సారీ SAP కాదు. ఇలా ప్యాకేజ్ వాట్ ఇస్ దిస్ హియర్? సిస్టమ్ లోకల్ ఎక్స్పాండ్, సిస్టమ్ లోకల్లో BW టు HANA. ఇదైనా నీ అనలిటికల్ వ్యూ. సో ఇది యాట్రిబ్యూట్ కదా. అనలిటికల్ వ్యూ ఇదేనా? ఇదేం చేసింది? ZI cube 77 అనలిటికల్. ఇక్కడ ఎందుకు క్రియేట్ అయింది? నా ప్యాకేజ్కి ఎందుకు క్రియేట్ కాలే? ఇట్ క్రియేట్స్ లైక్ దిస్. రియల్ టైమ్ అన్ని ఇక్కడ క్రియేట్ అవుతుంటాయి. రియల్ టైమ్ దెన్ వాట్ యు డు వెన్ యూ వాంట్ దిస్, దెన్ యూ విల్ సే వాట్ రీఫ్యాక్టర్ మూవ్ అని నీ ప్యాకేజ్కి మూవ్ చేసుకుంటావు. 7 క్యూబెక్స్ అట్లా నీ దాంట్లోకి మూవ్ చేసుకుంటావు. అట్లా బట్ బయటకు అక్కడికి మరి అక్కడికి ఎందుకు వెళ్తుంది? వేర్ ఇస్ దట్ సెట్టింగ్ డన్ అంటే, if you go to SPRO, SAP reference IMG, then search for టీ కోడ్ చెప్తాను డైరెక్ట్. దిస్ ఇస్ RS2 HANA _ view అని ఒక టీ కోడ్ ఉంటుంది. RS2 HANA _ view అని ఒక టీ కోడ్ ఉంది. ఆర్ కెన్ గో త్రూ SPRO. ఇక్కడ ఒక సెట్టింగ్ ఉంది, SAP అనే ప్యాకేజ్ హైరార్కీ సిస్టమ్ లోకల్ .bidl HANA అంటే ఈ ప్యాకేజ్ హైరార్కీ ఏమైతే పెడతావో ఆటోమేటిక్గా వ్యూ ఆ ప్యాకేజ్లో క్రియేట్. ఇఫ్ యూ కెన్ చేంజ్ ఇట్ టు 7 క్యూబిక్స్ ఇల్ క్రియేట్ ఇన్ టు మై ప్యాకేజ్. కానీ ఇది మార్చలేడు, ఎందుకంటే there will be different development teams working in the project. There might be some development team working on SD implementation, or someone working on FI, someone working on MM. Everyone wants those views. So what they do, they'll have this common view like this. Andru view activate chestuntaro. It creates views in the same package. From there, they just refactor into their own SD separate package. They refactor that into their own package and they use it. Okay, that's how it should be used. సేమ్ అదే DSOకి even while creating DSO, I have the checkbox. What is this here? Create external HANA. ఇప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? You don't have to import manually. As soon as I activate this DSO, it creates my view automatically. And from there, it creates into the default package path. I can refactor it to my package.
So if any changes are there, it will automatically reflect. will activate it.
ZI DS was 77 and delta. Okay. Same with InfObject. ఇప్పుడు see when you're importing attribute view, when you're importing master data, it's default is creating what only attribute view కదా ఏడు చూస్తున్నారు. I'll go to InfObjects and I just create some. ఏదో I'll just take some. అయ్యయ్యో ఒకటి చాలు ఏదో కాంటాక్ట్ టైప్ ఏదో రెండు అట్రిబ్యూట్స్ యాడ్ చేసిన అండ్ లెట్ మీ యాక్టివేట్. And hierarchies of BW are not supported into HANA. Okay. ఇక్కడ చూస్తే ఎక్స్టర్నల్ SAP HANA వ్యూ ఫర్ మాస్ డేటా అంటాం. ఓకేనండి. when this is like normal InfObject in the InfObjects menu. So this is not a provider, right? It creates only what ZICN. Is it creating it as normal attribute view? Yes. ఇప్పుడు నేనే చేస్తాను. And deselect this check box, activate first. What is the name? ZICON. Yeah. I'll go to favorites and import this as what? Info provider. Now after this, then I go here, change it, and I see this checkbox also enabled now. External SAP HANA view for master data info provider. Now it creates an analytical view saying ZICON underscore reporting, which allows you to do reporting on master data attributes. ZICN underscore reporting. Is it like analytical view? No. So when you have normal master data, the InfObjects it creates only attribute view. But when you maintain that as info provider and then enable the checkbox master data info provider, then it creates what? Analytical view. So I can do reporting on this master data now. Yes, because it is projected as analytical view. So this is what we can do in 7.4. Okay, by enabling the checkbox, it creates external HANA view automatically. If you see, both the problems of 7.3 are solved here. ఇప్పుడు ఏంది క్యూబ్ యాక్టివేట్ అయినప్పుడు వ్యూ క్రియేట్ అయింది కదా. Now when I transport my cube from development environment to quality environment and BW layer with the TR, when the cube is transported to quality, does it mean that cube is getting activated in quality? When the cube is activated in the quality, will it create F table in quality system? Will it create dimension table in quality system? Will it create view also in the quality system? So I don't need explicit HANA native transports. You got what I'm saying? Same with master data, same with DS. Kada. But 7.4 situation ఏంటంటే ఇట్లా అంటాడు సినార్ నాకు లెట్స్ ఐ హావ్ క్రియేట్ ఎ క్యూబ్ సో ఐ హావ్ క్రియేట్ DSO with external HANA view, master data with external HANA view, created attribute view, then I've combined this analytical view and attribute view, created a calculation view. Now I want to transport this. How will you transport? Question అర్థమైందన్న 7.4 scenario I've got DSO master data, I've enabled the check boxes for external HANA view. I already have analytical view and attribute view. I've joined both of them with the calculation view, created a calculation and deployed for reporting. You will transport చేయాలి ఏం ఎట్లా చేస్తావు? First BW transport, I'll transport my DSO, I'll transport my master data. Automatically the analytical view and attribute views are created in my quality system. Create అయితే లేదన్న create అయితే automatic. Then what? I'll just have transport through HANA native transport. I just have transport only calculation. అది కాదు. Clear? This is about importing BW objects into HANA. Okay, Nana? So we'll stop it here. Tomorrow we'll go with advanced DSO. So before we go with advanced DSO, please just have understanding on Q and DSO completely. You got to be strong on right of mid DSO, standard DSO, Q, then advanced DSO is simple. And అన్ని కలిపి ఒకటైతే advanced DSO. Cube ని స్టాండర్డ్ DSO రైట్ ఆఫ్ అన్నిటిని కలిపితే అడ్వాన్స్ DSO. సో అన్ని బాగుంటే అర్థం. ఓకే రైట్ థ్యాంక్ యూ విల్ మీట్ టుమారో.